One of the couple quick questions. Do you know any of Caitlin's siblings?
No.
You know Brian Alves Jr.?
No.
You know any of her extended family that might be closer in age to you, like Colin Albert?
No.
You ever met any of them?
Not that I recall.
Not that you recall with them?
I don't remember meeting any of them.
Your Honor, that's all I have right now.
All right. Larry, any questions?
Excuse me. You're not friends with Caitlin, correct?
I'm sorry.
You're not friends with Caitlin Albert, is that correct?
I would say she.
You were shown some photographs of you in a fairly large group with Caitlin Albert, correct?
Yes.
You don't know when those were, correct? You
I don't know exactly.
don't know where you were when those were taken, correct?
No, not exactly. They seem old.
And just to back up, you knew her in high school, but you weren't friends in high school, right?
I would categorize our relationship as always being just acquaintances. I knew her. We had some mutual friends, but we were never close friends. We don't have a one-on-one relationship.
And as far as high school versus post-high school, would you see her more so during high school, the high school years, or after you graduated?
Well, probably more in high school just because you're there every day. But then afterwards, yeah, it was only here and there. Like I said, like mutual friends. So maybe events for mutual friends, I might run into her.
And to be clear, and I think you made reference to it, but that last photograph that's marked as K, that seems to be a cropped or sort of zoomed in of a larger photo. Is that right?
Yeah. Yes.
Now, as far as each of those photos you were shown, you're present in a photo with Caitlin Albert in a much larger group, correct?
Yes.
Have you ever hung out or socialized
I
with
agree,
Caitlin
Rogue.
Albert outside of the setting of a large group?
Why?
No.
You've never been to her house?
I agree, Rogue. Why was the jury pulled from the room? Why did Bev pull the jury from the room? They need to know the relationship between all of these people. I completely agree with you. This girl is a
Now, as far as
liar.
that
She's
first,
lying.
One that's, as far as social media is concerned, as far as a friends list. And without sort of doing, and I'm sort of putting that in air quotes, how many friends would you say you have on social media in total?
I don't know. Maybe over 500. I don't know.
And of those 500 people, how many of those 500 people would you consider actual friends?
Much less than that. Less than 10.
All right, why don't we wrap this up, Mr. Lally?
Sure. Just when it comes to that day that you responded, you're working with the fire department, you responded to a call on January 29th to a home, or as you say, to somewhere on the side of the road. Did you have any idea whose house that was adjacent to where the treatment was concerned with regard to your patient?
No.
I have nothing.
Okay. All right. So there was an objection that this was in violation of Rule 14 to admit these exhibits, Mr. Lally. That's what you said, correct?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So I agree. So the exhibits don't come in, but based on this voir dire and the answers, I'm going to give you some leeway on exactly what you did. Okay. The relationship, the socialization and the extent of it, friends on social media, those areas. You didn't quite get everything that you mentioned at sidebar you thought you'd get. So that's not coming in.
So
If you
stay within the parameters.
So why don't you come over here then, just because?
She's going to keep battling everything against the defense and not allow them anything. She does not want to show the connection between all of these people. And that girl's a liar, flat up liar. I was driving back here to the studio, and I just kept saying to myself, liar, 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 liar. Lying, you lying. You got caught in a lie. You be lying. I'm just setting up some studio lights. Setting up some studio lights. Why you be lying? You are a liar. She be a lying. I didn't know anybody. I'm not friends with Kate. I'm not friends with Caitlin Albert. Give me a break. You know who she is. You've had conversations, just like Jackson said, you've had conversations. Everybody in and around this area has had conversations about this case. It's a daily event. Believe me. We all know. We all talk about it. Can't tell me that you have not talked about this case. You are a liar. Liar, liar, liar. She is the biggest liar of them. Super, super, super big. Super, super big. The biggest liar of them all. Everybody in and around this area knows about this case. They know the connections. They know all of the people that are connected to this. And why is the jury not present during this testimony? Very, very important for the jury to hear this. And Bev is going to fight every single way to keep all of this, to keep all these connections of the McAlberts out of this. Jury needs to hear this. Unreal. Sorry, I'm still getting set up. Rogue says they need to move to impeach her and throw out her testimony. Yeah, she's a liar. She's a flat up liar. She's lying. You are a lying. Lie, lie, lie. There's a lot of people are going to get caught in a lot of lies. Perjury. I mean, Jackson should have reminded her, remember, you are under oath. Remember that. You're under oath. Remember, you are under oath. They're all liars. So we'll see what happens here. Welcome in, everybody. Quick pop-up stream. I wanted to get some of this cross. I was down at the courthouse this morning, if you caught the live earlier today. But this is unbelievable. I'm sure every single one of us out here right now watching this you are a liar. I mean, for crow's sake, I was watching the Law and Crime Network stream and watching the chat, and everybody in there's like, this girl is lying. She's a liar. She is a liar. And why would Bev excuse the jury? Well, she wants to excuse the jury to get them out of the room so that they don't hear the connections. Unreal. But sorry, I'm still getting set up here. Yeah, they should impeach her to throw her testimony. This is insane. She's lying. Back to court.
If you all think they're right outside the door, you're mistaken.
Please be seated. Jimmy, do you have any envelopes over there?
I do. Any more? Do you need any more? I'll work on it.
No, this is good.
Perfect. Let's turn up the sound here. What's the sound?
Jesus, I emotion.
Excuse me. I completely agree, Rogue. Like, what is going on here? Why would you keep that out? And she completely danced around this, danced around everything. Oh, I don't know Caitlin Albert. I don't know. I went to high school with her, but doesn't mean that we were friends. Didn't mean that we hung out. He's like, you're on a beach together. You took photos. And I hope Jackson goes right back at her right now.
Ms. McLaughlin, did you say you had a water? Is there a
The
water
defensive
that you
team
recommend
knows.
you need?
They're all liars.
Yeah.
Look at Karen. She knows she's lying. She's a liar. Yeah, completely. Welcome in, everybody. Good morning. Thank you for being here. Waiting for testimony to resume. I don't know if they're waiting for the jury.
Please rise for the jury.
Jury's back in the courtroom.
This court is in session. Please be seated.
So jurors, from time to time, there are things that I need to discuss with the lawyers, as you saw. We try and do it as quickly as we can. It's in an effort to make sure that what you see and hear in this case is appropriate for you to see and hear. So sometimes we spend a little time now that will save us a lot of time later. So we do appreciate your patience.
Mayor O'Hara?
Yes.
Thank you. Ms. McLaughlin, thank you for your patience. When we last left off, I was asking you about your relationship with Caitlin Albert. You recall that?
Yes.
I want to ask you a few more questions about that. You and Caitlin Albert have known each other for how long?
Since high school.
Which is, give me a span of time.
So probably about 10 years.
You have traveled with Caitlin Albert and friends. When I say traveled, I don't mean to exotic locations. I mean day trips, etc.
Yes.
You have a group of mutual friends together, correct?
We have mutual friends. Correct.
Those mutual friends have gone on day trips with you and Caitlin Albert involved
Correct.
on more than one occasion, as a matter of fact,
Correct.
on many occasions, matter of fact,
I don't know.
more than 5.
I don't know.
I think the issue
More than
was the
10?
exhibits
I
that
don't
got
know.
brought in this morning. That's why the jury had to leave.
You've seen
They were going to
photographs
see if they were going to be able to
of
use
you
them, and
with
Bev
Caitlin
said no.
Albert
But
on
she's
some of
allowing
these
the
day trips,
testimony.
correct?
Yes.
You've seen at least 3 of those photographs.
Yes.
You're friends with Caitlin Albert on social media.
Yes.
Other than the 3 photographs that you've seen, we just talked about, there have been other events that you've been at with Caitlin Albert that weren't necessarily photographed, or we don't have those photographs, correct?
Probably.
You know that Caitlin Albert is the same Caitlin Albert that's the daughter of Brian and Nicole Albert, as you sit here.
Yes. As I sit here today, yes.
And you know that Caitlin Albert also has siblings, Brian Albert Jr., correct?
As I sit here today, yes, I know that.
And you also know, as you sit here today, that 34 Fairview was, at the time of January 29th, 2022, the Albert home, correct?
I know that as of today.
You indicated, well, let me rephrase that. When you showed up at 34 Fairview that morning, did you recognize that address or recognize the home as being that of Caitlin Albert's?
No.
You have since learned that that was Caitlin Albert's home.
As I know that now.
And you gave your original statement to Trooper Proctor the next day.
Yes.
And from that day to this day, or let's take yesterday, from that day to yesterday, you learned that 34 Fairview was the Canton Albert family home, correct?
You're asking if I know from,
Between those 2 dates,
yes.
between the time you spoke with
Yes.
Proctor in this report till yesterday when you testified, you now know that that's the Albert home.
Yes.
And you also indicated that between that report that you gave to Trooper Proctor, that statement that you gave to Trooper Proctor, and yesterday's testimony, your statement has evolved. You've already admitted that, correct?
I don't think I agreed with you on that.
It's changed. It's different.
I've always testified to I feel as though my testimony has been consistent.
He's such a liar.
I appreciate how you might feel. I'm just interested in the actual facts. You didn't
He's a
tell
liar.
Trooper Proctor anything about this officer questioning my client. correct?
Objection.
So I'm going to see counsel at sidebar because I think this morphed into a different.
No, it didn't morph into anything. It didn't morph into anything. This is violating Karen Reed's rights. And you can see here, Karen, very frustrated. I feel bad for her. Yes. So J Trey says, so the jury doesn't actually see all the evidence, but they will be able to decide the case, not one bit of a fair trial. So essentially what happened from what I'm understanding is the exhibits yeah, exactly. Where's Josh Levy? The exhibits that were brought in, this is what I'm understanding, was 4 photographs this morning to corroborate the relationship between McLaughlin and Albert. Bev threw those out, but will allow the testimony. This is a sham trial. It's not a fair trial.
The statement that you gave to Trooper Proctor is not the same as the statement that you gave to these jurors yesterday. Right?
Yes.
I just told me that.
Yes.
This girl is a liar. You are a liar. You are lying. and this is coaching from the Commonwealth. Deny everything and say, you didn't remember, you don't recall. This is coaching from Lally. That's what you're seeing here.
A couple of other questions. When you did make this statement to Trooper Proctor, your visit to Canton PD was coordinated by another officer to put you and Trooper Proctor together for the interview, correct?
I don't recall that.
Do you recall being contacted by a completely different officer to say, hey, Trooper Proctor wants to talk to you, come on into Canton PD, let's have an interview?
I don't remember exactly how the interview was set up.
No
So
one
that was
knows
my
anything.
next question. You may have just told me this. Do you have any recollection who set that interview up?
I don't.
His name Kevin Albert sound familiar?
No,
You know Kevin Albert?
no,
You know him to be a police officer at Canton PD?
no,
You know him to be the brother of Brian Albert?
no.
The objection sustained.
That's all I have, Your Honor.
Okay. Lally, any redirect?
Yes. So firefighter McLaughlin, you went to high school with Caitlin Allen, correct?
Yes.
And could you describe the nature of your relationship, if any, with Caitlin?
I would describe it as we're not close friends. I would say we're more acquaintances. We have mutual friends. I don't have a one-on-one relationship with her.
And you were asked some questions about social media, correct?
Yes.
And if you could, or if you could guesstimate about how many friends, and I'm sort of throwing air quotes in there, how many friends on social media would you have?
I don't know, probably 500.
And of those probably 500 friends on social media, how many of those are actual friends that you talk to, interact with beyond social media?
Much less than that.
Now, prior to, well, let me ask you this. As far as, would you say that you saw Caitlin Albert more so when you were in high school or more so since you have graduated from high school?
I would say probably more in high school because we were there every day. So
And about what year or so was it that you graduated from high school?
2014.
And as far as any sort of photographs that were referenced to you, have you seen those photographs?
Here today, I saw them.
Do you have any idea where or when those photographs were taken?
I don't remember.
And of those photographs, it's not just you and Caitlin Albert in a photograph, is that correct?
Correct.
So a larger group of people, is that correct?
Correct.
When you were asked about sort of these day trips, they were sort of trips specifically on a day to a beach, it looks like, correct?
Correct.
And to a beach with a larger group of people, is that correct?
Correct.
And with reference to Caitlin Albert specifically, have you ever socialized with her in any setting beyond a setting that contained a large group of people?
No.
Now, with respect to, you say high school, you graduated from Canton High School, correct?
Correct.
And you grew up in Canton, is that correct?
Yes.
And did you know Caitlin Albert before you attended Canton High School?
No, that's probably when we first really interacted was high school.
And essentially, you live within the town you work within the town that you grew up, correct?
Correct.
And is that
It's
abnormal from a civil service perspective?
No, from a civil service perspective, you're given more points for residency. So it's actually, I would say,
Yes,
preferred,
Rogue.
or you're placed higher on the list if you have residency in that town.
So it's actually preferred and more common than uncommon as far as growing up in a town and then working in that same town in a civil service position like a firefighter.
Yes.
Now, during the course of the time that you've been on the Canton Fire Department, have you received calls to residencies or other places or even patients that you either knew or were familiar with?
Yes.
Would that be a reason for you to not go on a call?
No.
And you have an obligation, wouldn't you say, to respond to a call when a call is made and you're on duty in that station house, correct?
Yes.
The objection sustained. Ask the question differently.
As far as when you're on duty as a firefighter at a particular station house, you get a call, what, if any, choice do you have to respond to any particular call?
I don't have a choice. I just have to respond to the call.
And then prior to that date of January 29th, had you ever been over through socialization or otherwise Caitlin Albert's house?
Not that I ever remember.
Had she ever been over your house?
No.
And again, had you ever socialized with her outside of a large group of people?
No.
When you responded on that morning, just after 6 a.m., the house of 34 Fairview Road, did you know who lived?
No.
During the time since January 29th of 2022, have you ever spoken to Caitlin Albert about what happened that morning in front of 34 Fairview Road?
No.
Now, you were asked some questions on cross-examination about knowing sort of Caitlin Albert's parents' names or siblings' names or things of that, correct?
Right.
And prior to January 29th, you didn't know any of those names, is that correct?
No.
She's a
You learned of
liar.
them subsequently, is that correct?
Yes.
May we approach just briefly?
Okay.
All right, so they're at a sidebar real quick. I'm going to show you how much Katie McLaughlin says that she doesn't know Caitlin Albert. I'll show you right here. Here is a photo, and this is it was a report from Turtle Boy. Look into the photo to the right. Okay, that is Katie McLaughlin and Caitlin Albert in a embracing photo where she's got, it looks like her arm around her, and Caitlin Albert is giving kind of a shaka. Yeah. So and this is probably part of that photo that is this large group. So she's saying that she doesn't know him, but certainly has her arm around her. So just to give you some context there. Unbelievable. That's how much she's saying that she doesn't know the Alberts. She knows them. She knows who they are. She's lying. She's a liar. And she's gonna get caught up in this. Yeah. It doesn't matter that it's cropped. She's saying that she doesn't know them, and she's clearly lying. She's a liar. I know, just me. I know you're for the prosecution. I know you hop in here. You try to say all these things to kind of lead us in a different direction. But when you're in a photograph with someone and your arm is around them, you've had interactions with that person. You know them. I don't just randomly go up to strangers on a beach and just throw my arm around them and take a photograph. Sorry, just don't do it. They went to high school together. They spent almost 10 years together. She knows her, and she's lying. She's being a liar. I don't know. I don't know. Do you go out to beach? You go out to beach trips and just throw your arms around people and take photos when they give them the shaka? I don't do that. I don't put my arms around strange people's in very close
Mr.
embrace
McLaughlin,
that.
you learned of those other people's names within the Albert family subsequent to your response to this call on January 29th. Is that correct?
Yes.
And you learn of those through sort of various news or media reports in relation to this case, not something that you had any conversations with anybody about, correct?
Correct.
I have nothing further.
All right.
Your Honor, if I may, I have.
Okay. Okay.
You indicated, Ms. McLaughlin, Mr. Lally just asked you about these 500 friends on social media. A couple of quick questions about that. Of those 500 friends on social media, how many of those have you taken day trips with?
I don't know.
How many of those have you gone to the beach with?
I don't know.
How many of those have you posed for photographs with?
I don't know.
How many of those have you posed for photographs in swimwear with?
I don't know.
How many of those have you been photographed with your arm around while that other friend is drinking a beer?
Sustained.
Yeah.
Sustained.
Ms. McLaughlin, all of those things that I just mentioned, you have done with Miss Caitlin Albert.
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained.
That's all I have.
Okay.
Good, it's on the record.
All right, Firefighter McLaughlin, you are all set.
Yep. Liar. You liar.
All right, jurors, we are getting ready to go for our view. So we're about to visit a place which you'll be hearing about some more. You've heard about, you've seen photographs of, and in court terminology, we call this view. The purpose of the view is to help you better to understand the evidence, which you'll hear during the trial, and to help you appreciate the location and its surroundings.
Oh, okay.
The view that you will take is a part of this case. The observations that you make while on the view may be used and considered in your deliberations in reaching a verdict. The place that we're going to go, you've seen photos of, you've heard it, it's 34 Fairview Road. The lawyers and I will accompany you on the bus. The attorneys may point out to you the arrangement of the scene and items that they want you to pay special note of, but otherwise they cannot discuss anything in this case in regard to this case, and they can't talk to you. All right, they'll be able to do an opening here and they'll be able to point these things out. While you're on the view, it's very important that you can't take notes and you certainly can't use your phones and take photographs. All right, it's really just for you to see. You cannot conduct any independent investigation while we're there or at any time during the trial, as you've been told. You're not to return to the scene or ask anyone else to do it for you until the case is over. So this is your opportunity to take a look when we go. What you are to do on the view may be best summarized in two very familiar words, which is stop and look. Okay. Your responsibility is to see the place, to observe it carefully, and to remember what you see. So during your trip to and from the place that we're going to view, you're not to discuss this case or anything about it among yourselves or with anyone, and you are not to permit anyone to talk with you about the case. You'll be under the supervision of our great court officers at all times, and you'll remain together until you return to court, unless the court officers direct you otherwise. And just so that you know, because some of this came up during our jury selection process, spectators, if there are any, and all members of the press have been ordered to stay 100 yards away from you. All right, so you can go and you can look and take your time looking without worrying about any interference from anyone. All right, so with that, Mr. Clerk, could you swear in, please, the court
The
officer?
court officers, raise your right hands, please. Do you solemnly swear you will take this jury upon the premises in question and there suffer them to view the same and any property, place, or thing bearing upon the issues on the trial, as they shall seem necessary? That you will not permit the parties to enter in a debate in front of the jury or a person to speak to them unless it be Adam Lally for the Commonwealth and Alan Jackson for the defendant. They to point out such places or things as they deem expedient for the determination of the issue, and that you will keep the jury together until they shall return into court, except the court shall otherwise order, so help you God. Thank you.
All right, so Mr. Lally, do you want to do a short view opening?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
So ladies and gentlemen, as Her Honor just described, we're about to go to a place. When we arrive there, and at any point in time when we're there, this is not a point where we can have any sort of conversation or back and forth. So all I'm going to be asking you to do is just take note of certain locations and certain items as you see them. And again, as with anything in this case, this is as you find them, as you observe them, okay? So first I'm going to ask you to sort of, when we arrive in a general area, as far as taking note of sort of street names when you're coming into and when you're exiting from this particular When we arrive at a specific location, I'm going to ask you to take note of certain things about the roadway. Okay, certainly any abutments to the roadway, any residences that you observe, the distances between the roadway
Cameras
and any
that are on the
landmarks or any
houses
items
that
that you observe on that
never
property.
worked that night.
Specifically a driveway, specifically a front door, any other sort
Cameras.
of items of interest within the front lawn area of that. I'm also going to ask you to take note of the roadway itself and sort of the width of that roadway, whether or not you find any sort of lanes separating within that roadway, and then the individual width of some of those lanes as well. Lastly, there is also going to be a vehicle there as well. And I'm going to ask you to take note of certain things with respect to that vehicle, okay? With respect to the size of the vehicle, with respect to the height of the vehicle, with respect to anything that you observe specifically from the front, the side, the back, all of the exterior of that vehicle, and then also some of the interior of that. And specifically, I'm going to ask you to take note of sort of the center console in the front driver's compartment of that vehicle, and anything that you observe in that location as well. And that is all I'm asking you to do on this case, and I thank you again for your time and attention.
All right, Mr. Jackson?
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. It's the first time we've been able to speak to you directly, so I want to take the opportunity to introduce myself and thank you for your service and thank you for your time and commitment to this. I'm going to echo a lot of what Mr. Lally just said. There's nothing magical about this other than it gives you perspective. It's an opportunity to introduce you in three-dimensional form to stuff that you've been seeing in two-dimensional form. Photographs, some of the testimony, diagrams that you might see.
So I'm sorry, we're really pointed on what you can say.
What we're going to ask you to do is take special note of the relationships of physical items out at the scene. Much as Mr. Lally just indicated, there are going to be physical things out at the scene. You've heard about a flagpole, a fire hydrant, a house. We're going to ask you to take special note of where those are in relation to other things physically at the scene. That will hopefully, with the court's instruction, give you some assistance in putting together the testimony that you think is relevant, and the documents that you think are relevant. Again, to echo what Mr. Lally said, we're going to ask you to look at the roadway, the vehicle, the house, the physical items at the home, and the relationship between and among all of those things to each other. Hopefully, that will give you a very good understanding of what we're dealing with, especially with the exhibits. Thank you.
All right, so folks will be all set. We'll see you at the bus in a little bit.
Just make sure your notebooks are closed.
You are muted. Goodbye.
That's that. So the jury is going to take a ride over to 34 Fairview and get a layout and perspective for themselves. Interesting. Okay, I'm going to wrap this up for today. I think this is going to be all that I do for this afternoon. I have some other things that I need to attend to here, but I wanted to come in and watch some of the McLaughlin testimony. And she's a liar. She's clearly a liar. She knows who Caitlin Albert is. She knows the Alberts. It's clear, in my opinion, what we heard today and the relationship. And for me, I don't know. You just don't go up to random people on a beach and take a photo. I don't know what this person was saying earlier in the chat, that you when you're on a beach and they say, "Oh, squeeze in and take a picture." I don't know. I don't go to beaches and just jump in photographs with random people and squeeze in to take that photo. Doesn't make sense to me. They clearly went to high school. She knew her over a 10-year period. And you're going to sit here and say, you don't recall anything and you don't know anything about this person. To me, in my opinion, complete lie. So I'm going to bounce out for the rest of the day. There's a multitude of other streams going on. I'm sure you can jump over there and grab one of those, but I appreciate everybody jumping in really quick. So I don't know. That's going to lead this and end this stream for today. If you didn't get an opportunity, please go back and watch my morning live stream outside the courthouse. Unfortunately, I was late getting there and did not see Karen walk into court, but we had a beautiful conversation with her brother, Nathan. And if you missed that, please go back and watch it. All right, everybody, I'm going to take off. Everybody have a wonderful day. I'll talk to you all soon. Goodbye.